Hello and welcome back to the Lenko show, where we talk all things health and performance. I am your host, Alex, alongside my co-host, Chris. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing, bro?
I'm doing very well. I'm doing very well. Doing great.
Excellent.
So, today's show, we're going off piste a little bit. We're going to be talking about a challenge that we are doing, that we have set up, and we've not really set it up, have we? We've just decided that we're going to hop on board because we think it's a good idea. And we were originally just going to do it for the sake of it, but we have actually decided to do it as a bit of a fundraiser for personal reasons, which we will make clear.
Alex Lenkowski's pocket money.
That's right. Every pound donated will go straight to me. No, that's not the case at all. Chris, why are you digging holes for us? You know that that's not what that's not what we're doing. That's going to give people the impression that we're dishonest and we're a pair of swindlers, which we're not. Don't be so silly. It's Chris that gets all the money. So, Chris, do you want to run through, explain what the challenge is, where it's come from? Go.
So, I have no idea where you got the idea from the challenge from. You must have seen it because I've not actually seen it this year. But we're doing the David Goggins 4x4x48 challenge. And I believe this is the second year in a row. This is his second annual 4x4x48. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
What that is, ladies and gentlemen, is you run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. That includes through the night, through the day. We're going to do it all weekend because we don't have many friends and we have nothing better to do. So March the 9th, Alex, is that?
No, that's way off. Chris, you did the same mistake with our kayaking challenge, and I'm trying to work out whether it's deliberate and you're having me on here or not. But I think you're being genuinely serious. No, it's not March the 9th, it's March the 5th.
Well, yeah, but we're not actually doing it on March the 5th, are we?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we are. Sorry.
Yeah, we are.
I'm completely confused there. Sorry. So we're starting on the Friday on March the 5th. Do you know what's even worse about that? I've actually got my calendar up to check that. And I still got it wrong. So on March the 5th, we're starting at 8 p.m.
Yeah, that's right.
That's correct.
Yeah,
we will do our first 4 miles and then every 4 hours until Sunday, we will finish our 48 hours. So yeah, that's the challenge.
So it's a total of 48 miles over the weekend. And the reason that we are doing this is, number one, we just thought it was going to be fun, and we just thought we'd do it for the sake of it. We're a little bit twisted like this. We like setting lofty goals and big challenges and pushing ourselves to just see what we can do. Gives us a purpose, something to train for, and we're a glutton for punishment. So we thought we'd just jump on board with this, and then basically we were originally going to do it for the sake of doing it. And for us personally, unfortunately, sort of just before Christmas, our granddad passed away, having suffered with a disease called pulmonary fibrosis, which he'd had for many years. And unfortunately, I think it affected quite a few people in his family, which is essentially, it's a condition in the lungs where it becomes very difficult for your body to obtain oxygen. It becomes very hard for you to breathe. So you kind of on oxygen on a permanent basis. And, for someone who I would say was a pretty remarkable role model for me and Chris, and someone who was, a great example of what a person should be, to see him suffer and know that he was suffering for such a long period of time, and with a terminal illness where there is no cure, there was no way out, to be pretty much dignified until the end, and then carry on sort of 10 months plus beyond what was expected. Was pretty remarkable, and we think it's pretty worthy for us to hopefully create some recognition at the very least, but provide some funds and some support for the charities that do some work in those areas with those kind of illnesses, because for anyone who knows someone with a terminal illness or any kind of illness, even if it isn't terminal, it doesn't just affect one person, it affects a whole family. So that is the reason that we have picked the charity we have and why we'll be raising funds for that charity. So if you do feel like you want to donate, then please feel free to do so. I'll attach a link to the notes on this podcast so you can follow that and do it from there. It's all through Just Giving, so it goes directly to the charity. It doesn't come anywhere near me and Chris. Please use that link to donate. I know Chris is probably going to go, oh, can I have some? And we will be sharing it on our social media pages. You can check us out on Facebook, Lenko Performance and Coaching. You can find us on Instagram, Lenko HQ, or Alex Lenkowski Performance. And then Chris, you've got your own Instagram as well. We'll be putting on there. Yeah, so we'll be sharing it. If you're listening to this, then you'll be able to find it in the show notes. You'll be able to find it at the bottom of the description on YouTube. Wherever it is you're consuming this content, then we will put the link there for you to be able to donate if you want. And if you simply just want to tune in, check in with how we're getting on, how we're suffering, how we're coping with the 4 a.m. run, then make sure you follow us on social media and pay attention to what we're doing. I will also add that it won't just be me and Chris that are doing it. There are a couple of other people who we know are doing the challenge alongside us as well. So big shout out to those guys for just being ballsy as and just cracking on. So I think that's kind of a bit of a promo, and hopefully that's giving you some insight into what's going on, what we're actually going to be doing. Chris, how are you feeling about it?
Absolutely fine. You're going to get the exact same answers you got when you asked me about the DW kayak. I feel fine, mate. I feel fine. I'm not concerned. I've accepted what it is in my head. It will be what it will be on the weekend that we're actually doing it. That might be a little bit different, but for now,
just check that date. When is it we're doing it?
January the 17th. March the 5th. I've got it now. It's March the 5th. But yeah, I'm composed, mate. You know what I'm like. I feel fine. What about you? How are you feeling?
I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good weekend.
You sure? Because you look a little bit panicked.
Chris. When do you see me panic?
Do you want a serious answer to that?
Yeah. Go on.
Frequently, mate. Frequently.
Any examples?
About 30 minutes ago.
What are you on about? Why are you
joking. I'm only joking. I think collectively we're both fairly relaxed. And that's part of it, because it's part and parcel. We know what we're getting ourselves into. We did the same thing with the DW. So, yeah. And I'd like to think that we've got more experience at running than we did kayaking.
Well, yeah, I mean, we learned to run like 20 odd years ago, nearly 30 years ago. We learned to kayak like a few months beforehand. So we've got a much bigger advantage in that front, and it's nowhere near the same distance either, is it? So basically the rest of this episode is going to be us kind of outlining and talking through what we're expecting from the event, like what we're thinking in terms of our preparation for it, how we're getting ready, and what we're doing to protect ourselves to make sure that we not just finish it, but finish it and feel okay at the end of it.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that. One of the first things is, no matter what happens, this one has to be finished, because obviously we had the disappointment with the DW race. We'd done what training we could do in a short period of time, and then obviously we were put under the COVID restrictions, and the DW race was actually cancelled
I think it'll be cancelled again this year as well. I'm not certain of that.
More than likely, but as a result, we didn't end up finishing that one. So this one, no matter the circumstances, if Alex's legs come off after 40 miles, he's going to have to crawl all the way to the end.
So basically this event will be going ahead regardless of anything else. Me and Chris will be making our own little bubble. Chris will be coming and staying with me for the period of the event, and then until he's cleared to go home after a period of incubation and being locked away before we send him back to family.
And a period of hibernation.
Yes. So what have you done in terms of preparation and getting ready for it and training for it and getting yourself to, like, how do you get to a place where you're mentally as relaxed and as comfortable and as confident as you currently are?
Well, I'm going to be honest. My main focus at the minute is looking after myself. In terms of, I've had several hip and knee injuries in the past, and my usual thing, and you'll know this from the DW as well, like I tend to get myself injured or not in a promising position before an event, which doesn't usually help. So this time I'm more than capable of running 4 miles. That's exactly how I'm going to approach it psychologically. It's 4 miles each time. It's going to be less than an hour. It's a slower average pace than I'm used to running. And where I am around here, I live in the neck of Burnley, like all I'm doing is running on hills. So I literally couldn't go out for a flat run if I tried. It's like, whatever way I look at it, half of it's going uphill.
Yeah, you're pretty much in the countryside, aren't you? Like you step out your door and you've just got hills everywhere.
Yeah, you literally step out the door and you are on a slope, like you're leaning across to the right as you step outside the door. So yeah, my main thing is mobilizing, doing stability work, looking after my hips, looking after my quads, and making sure that and stretching and mobilizing my ankles as well, because I've had issues with my calves in the past. For anyone out there who's listening, who's worrying that they would never be able to run like that because they get shin splints or anything like that, that's me. I have all those issues. So what I'm doing is just making sure that I can push back the onset of those things as far as I can. And then as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be psychological. But it's like I said to you earlier, for me, like we weren't able to finish the DW because of circumstances that were out of our control, whereas this one, like, it's all in our control. So that's that.
Yeah,
that's that.
Well, that's a message there and a little note there for runners far and wide. If you're a runner, like elite, amateur, whatever level you want, recreational, you've got to look after your feet, your calves, your ankles. You've got to look after it. That's a non-negotiable. Otherwise, you will break down. So you've got to take care of them. You've got to apply that self-care and do the therapy, do the work. You can't cheat that. Can't cheat that at all.
Yeah. What about you? How does that contrast to your preparation?
So I've gradually been going out for longer and longer runs. I've done a couple of 15Ks and felt pretty easy, pretty comfortable with it. So I've got a good bit of volume. My training in the lead up to it has been a case of still being as strong as possible. Being strong is the foundation for all movement. If you're strong enough, that creates a level of resilience that you can't tap into that when you get tired if it isn't there in the first place. So like you said, it's 4 miles at a time. It's at a steady pace. You could probably walk it pretty comfortably. So there's no reason as to why you couldn't finish it in that period of time unless you broke down through injury, which, if you're strong and resilient enough and you've got good tendon strength, good joint strength, and you're pretty healthy, there's no reason as to why you won't finish it. So And then aside from that, still running, still looking after conditioning, doing some speed work, some sprinting. And unfortunately for me, like I'm the opposite to you in terms of preparation, where you step out your front door and you're just surrounded by like mini mountains. I step out my door and on the west side of Manchester, west side, it's literally flat as a pancake. There's one gradual slight gradient. I think anytime I go out for a run, I'm probably getting an average climb of about 8 meters. Like it's pretty much nothing. It's pathetic. So I have to drive anywhere to access a hill, which I have done on a couple of occasions. So.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm more relaxed about this as well, because like you said there, that's the route we're going to be running will be around you. Obviously, we're staying at yours. For me, I think my short run average elevation gained is like 350 feet, which is going to be far more than what it will be doing the full 48 hours around your house.
Yeah.
So as long as I'm hitting above the pace I plan on running at, which as you've said, we could probably walk it if we wanted to, and I'm still getting those hills in, like the idea is to, if everything feels fine, I will get to the place where I'm running 3 times a week. I'm not going to do too long a distance or anything. I'm just trying to hit that. I think it works out as so one of the runs, the shortest one is 2.8 miles. The other is literally 4.3. So I will just 3 times a week rotate between those two. So it might be 4.3 miles twice, and the other one just making sure they're above pace. Otherwise, I still do a lot of conditioning work. I'm still training in my house, and that's where I'll build in like some volume stuff where I might be doing like 1 hour work capacity stuff. But yeah, that's it. And then minimize the impact, preserve my joints.
Yeah, that's it. So I think tip number 1 for me is going to be, do this with someone if you're doing this challenge. Like if you can physically be with someone to keep you, like, basically to keep each other going throughout, that's a great way to do it. Plus it accounts for a bit of a higher safety rating when it comes to doing the run at 12 p.m. Not 12 p.m., 12 a.m., midnight, 4 in the morning. Like those runs will be a little bit better with a bit of company. So if you're able to do it with someone, if not, I know I've got a couple of people that I'm speaking to that I will be checking in with before and after each run, just to make sure that everyone's alive and well. But yeah, have a partner, have someone to do it with you. I think that's a great way to go to begin with. So we're going to kind of outline the rest of the strategy, because I think, how many different runs have we got there? 1, 2, 3. Like 12 runs. Is that right? Is my maths right there?
Yeah.
12 runs in the 48 hours. So yes, I think you said it before, we're going to target it, or you have to pretty much target it 4 miles at a time, don't you?
Yeah.
So let's go into pacing strategy, because I think that's pretty important when it comes to actually making sure, well, number 1, you do the first run, you do the second run, and then you do the last one as well. What are you thinking pacing wise?
To be honest, I haven't really thought about specifically what pace I would run at. I just know that I'm fairly comfortable doing, and when I say comfortable, I mean like very comfortable doing a 22-minute 5K. So my actual 5K on a flat round where you live would probably be, let's say, 19, 20 minutes, which I know is good. I'm not saying it's great, but I would say that's quite good. And I think, I can't remember if it was with you that we were talking about if you were averaging, were we saying a 10-minute mile?
Yeah.
So obviously we were speaking about that, and we went out and did a slow run, which was faster than that. And it honestly, it was very easy for us. I think it'll just be a case of, for me managing pace, I will move at a speed where I can nasal breathe. That way I know that I'm moving at a pace that is comfortable enough for me to keep ticking over, and I could still talk and do all the silly things that we want to do while we're running at 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning. And as long as it's above that 10 minute mile pace, I think if we're looking at like hitting like a 60-minute 4 miler, then if I've got it in me, then I'll probably consider speeding up. But to be honest, the pace it's not something that I'm concerned about really. I think as long as I think I kind of mentally, without actually discussing it with anyone or anything, I just kind of decided, right, well, we'll make sure each one lasts less than an hour. I have no idea where that came from, but that's kind of just what I've come up with in my head. What do you think about pacing?
Yeah, I think we'll probably be aiming for somewhere around 40 minutes per run, which will give us then 3 hours 20 to do all these other bits that I've got written down. Because ultimately the running bit is only going to be possible if you do the other things right. And then, like, basically without overthinking it as well, I think the best thing to do is just get on with it. Just make sure you get out the door every time. If you do that, everything else doesn't matter. But I think we're trying to do it well. So I have thought about it a little bit, and I am overthinking it a little bit just in terms of preparation to make sure we get things right. So for me, I think pacing is going to be it's just what feels comfortable, what feels doable. And you mentioned nasal breathing there, and I can't remember which book I read this in. It might be Breathe by James Nestor, where he was talking about, I think it was a bit of an endurance experiment, and they had participants nasal breathing versus mouth breathing. And the people that were nasal breathing, the athletes that were doing the nasal breathing, and they were maintaining the same pace, but the athletes that were nasal breathing reported a lower effort score. And that relative effort score is generally what dictates how long you're able to continue for through the exercise and, how much further you'll push. So being able to do that, and, that will actually help maintain levels of hydration as well. I think that's the key to it. I put that down, me being able to do my first ultra marathon, I put that down purely to that. Because I wasn't a runner, not a good runner. Probably did like one training run for that. And if I'd have not known about the nasal breathing, I think I would have broken down on that run. So that for me is 100% critical, has to be done.
Yeah.
So we're going to go into some of the other fun stuff of kind of, I suppose, endurance running.
Well, hang on. I'd like to know what, or is that what you're getting into? The other stuff that you've got written down that we're going to do in that extra 3 hours, 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's hear this.
Precisely that. So we're going to be talking about eating and drinking, what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink, how you're going to structure it. Showers, by the way, staying cool, staying clean, staying fresh, critical. Not being a stinky winky.
Oh my God, we're going to need like loads and loads of kit.
Yeah. You're going to need multiple changes of underpants.
I'm going to need to buy some more underpants.
Vaseline and blister kits. Vaseline, 100% crucial to avoid any chafing whatsoever. Blisters, obviously, will, to a degree, be inevitable, depending on how well-conditioned feet and whatnot is. And then a system of recovery in between. So this is where we're then talking about other stuff like meal timing, hydration, how much you're going to drink, how much salts you're going to take, how many salts you're going to take on board, the amount of sleep you're going to get, the recovery routines in terms of foam rolling, stretching, mobilizing, all that fun stuff. So where do you want to start there, Chris?
At the beginning. Let's go with at the beginning. So let's say we've literally... No, let's start with how we would go about doing things the second we've got like finished our 4 miles.
That first run.
So are you thinking we go for a short walk after each run?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so what's
were
how
you,
does?
were you thinking that we should?
No, absolutely not. Well, I was thinking it might be worthwhile to do so. I wasn't thinking I was going to do it though.
No, I'm thinking basically once we've done the 4 miles, we take that steady. It could be very easy to get carried away at that point. I think weather and conditions could play a part, but
This is easy.
after that first 4 miles, you've still got to remember, even though it's only about the next 4 miles, you've still got like another 44 to go. So you want to spend, I think we want to spend as little time on our feet as possible. And I'm just looking at this now. The first run is 8 p.m. I don't know what you're laughing at. Like, I don't know the suggestion of, oh, should we go for another walk after we've done the first 4 miles? No. The first run is 8 o'clock on the Friday night. So when we get back from that, it's going to be close to 9 o'clock. So I'm thinking pre that first run, around 6 p.m., get a good meal in, eat some food, just laze around, chill out for a bit, have a bit of a chit chat. 8 o'clock, go out for the run, come back. When we get back, sit down, chill out, go through a bit of foam rolling, get some snacks, have a quick nap, and then we've got to set an alarm for 12. So this is the other thing as well. Before the runs, have an alarm set, I think, to make sure we're up and prepared and ready to go. Always have shoes ready by the front door, clean, fresh pairs of socks, 100% must. Get out at 12, do the run. And then I think after that second run, have 100% definitely have a shower at that point, unless we've had one before. I think we have showers every other run.
Right.
That's my intention.
Okay. Yeah, that works. I guess it would also depend on the schematics of the run. So let's say we go out for a run and it's like blisteringly hot. Like I ain't waiting until my next run to have a shower. I'll probably have a shower after that one.
Yeah. I think it's a case of be flexible with that. Not too worried. I would definitely go cold shower as well. Keep the inflammation down. As soon as, like, ideally probably get into a bit of an icing routine after each run. Get some frozen peas on the calves and look after the feet, do some foam rolling. But make sure we get plenty of sleep in between as well. So I think part of the attraction to this challenge and what makes it more of a challenge is that it's repeated and it's repeatedly broken up. Like, there's no point where you actually lie down for 7 or 8 hours and get some proper sleep. Everything's bitty and broken up. So we've got, at most probably 3 hours, 20 minutes. And when you consider how much of that is going to be made up with eating, foam rolling, stretching, by the time you've done all those things and actually chilled out, you've probably got 2.5 hours left before you go on your next run, which probably means another 2 hours of sleep in between. So through the night, I think that's going to be a bit of a challenge. We'll start to feel tired the next day, maybe get some power naps in, and each one gets treated on its own little cycle.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see how we deteriorate over the 2 days.
I'm interested to see how we would smell if we did it without showering.
No, you don't need to be interested in that.
Well, I am a bit weird.
It's not something you need to think about.
How do you think you will deteriorate? Like, not just like physically, but mentally as well. What do you reckon?
Well, I can tell you that I think my average sleep whilst I was working at Total Fitness was like 5.5 hours, and I know I can see your face scrunching up now. Like, to me then it felt fine. I was always fine getting up because you have to, because you're going to work. Like, it was never an issue. I'm an early riser anyway. Like, getting up was always fine. But like towards the end of the day, like I would become very, very lazy. which I think is forgivable if you're waking up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning by like 9 p.m. being quite lazy and just falling asleep, what have you. But I think the more tired I get, and I don't know if you can vouch for me on this one, the more tired I get, the more, what's the word? Feral, yeah. It will be much easier. So usually I would say that I'm quite laid back and can't, like, I care less about things. That being said, like, things irritate me like much easier if they do irritate me. Yeah, and I think I'll probably end up being a little bit sillier as well. Yeah. To try and keep me going.
I just nearly completely knocked everything off my standing desk then. So
nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you've raised the point of irritation, because you know what we're normally like when we're together, having a discussion and a chat and an argument and a fight. I'm looking forward to hour 44 of the weekend where we get out and we're running and we're both knackered, both exhausted, both irritated, both smelly, chafed to death. I think that'll be interesting, won't it? I was just been thinking as well, just note it down about the sleep cycle. So if we're going through 90-minute sleep cycles, I'll probably just aim for 90 minutes of kip between each one. Optimal recovery right there.
Right. See, so one thing that I'm thinking as well is I don't know how well accomplishing that sleep, because it's not something I'm used to, and I'm not even going to bother trying like polyphasic sleeping beforehand or anything like that, try and train myself into it. I don't know how easy it's going to be to fall asleep. Particularly at the earlier stages. Towards the latter stages, I imagine it's going to be quite easy to fall asleep, and it'll be the opposite. It'll be harder to get back up. But yeah, I know that I'll potentially, after the first 2 runs, probably struggle falling asleep. Could be a make or break right there. I could go absolutely crazy after the second run. But no, I think we'll be fine. But I think I'll probably make worse decisions and be a bit more rash and irritable towards latter stages, which is great news for you, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, I think we'll probably be falling asleep whilst running towards the end of it. I think I do agree. Like, it's normally when you exercise late at night, or I think back to doing football training and things like that. You're normally wired for a couple of hours, and then with that in mind, I think this is why we need to keep the run at a really low tempo, really low effort level, and a low pace, just so it's a little more relaxing, so it is a bit easier to down-regulate the nervous system. And I would say, for anyone that is kind of considering it, or for anyone that trains late in an evening, and anyone who has late competitions, late sessions, and then sleep is critical to get in fairly instantaneously, I would definitely suggest doing some down regulation breathing techniques. Box breathing, a really good one. Even if it's something as simple as sitting down and doing a bit of meditation for 15-20 minutes, that will most certainly help calm the mind, switch the nervous system to that parasympathetic branch, and improve your likelihood of being able to get to sleep. So
yeah, I think to add to your point there, like one of the things that I often talk to the clients that I have, or people that I coach that are doing like shift work and things like that, like, one of the hardest things to do is to try and regulate what's going on in your life and how you go about things if there is no opportunity for you to create some level of routines. So I think that'll be one of the first and foremost things that will determine whether we're successful with this or not, is do we have some pretty solid routines that we can stick to over those, which it sounds like you've already got these planned out. So we're going to be sweet. We are going to be sweet.
Yeah, I would say, like, all of this is written on paper, and no plan survives first contact. Plans are written in pencil. Things will change 100%. Yeah. So we'll just see how we go. Like, I've got it written down. This is the intention, but if it doesn't go to plan as written, I'm equally okay with that.
What are you thinking food wise then? What's your, I guess the question is, like, what's your plan around nutrition and recovery? And is it just a case of eat everything in sight, or What's your thought process?
No, not a case of eat everything in sight. I think in terms of fueling for these kind of things, it's something that I spoke to Tom Wasley about on episode 25. So if you haven't listened to that, go listen to that. For when it comes to endurance, there's some good lessons in there. But in terms of refueling, again, you want to eat normal food. You want to eat good food that you're looking forward to, food that you enjoy. Now, it's this kind of thing isn't an excuse to then go and fuel up on a megaton of pizza and ice cream, and your body still needs quality nutrition. You've got to get the calories in first and foremost. Like, that energy intake is crucial, and if you're not hitting your calorie target, whatever you fill yourself with is going to be, probably not going to live up to what you want it to, and you're going to be working from a state of, you're going to be working from a deficit when it comes to your body and repairing. So energy intake is crucial. So we're going to monitor that calorie intake. Again, we're looking at running the runs at a pace that won't actually be that taxing on the body. If you were looking at going and running each 4 miles at like a 4.5 minute pace per kilometer kind of thing, you'd be gassing yourself running at an 8 or 9 out of 10 RPE. You'd be very much struggling to recover for the next one, but we're not going to be doing that. I think we're going to be running at a level of 4, maybe 5.
Should we do that next year?
Try and maintain like a 6-minute mile pace for each one or something like that? Absolutely not. So yeah, fuel, get the calories in first and foremost. Going to need plenty of carbohydrates, so we'll probably use a few gels to help us with that. And then from a personal perspective, I'm all about protein and help trying to maintain muscle mass and quality muscle tissue. So there'll be plenty of protein shakes in there. There'll probably be one mixed, like protein mixed with milk after each run. So that's a lot of protein shakes actually for the weekend.
Fucking well excited. Love it.
And then, aside from that, probably a few gels, that glucose fructose combo to help digest that. There'll be plenty of caffeine, 100%, because obviously caffeine has some significant performance benefits when it comes to endurance, especially early in the morning or when you're feeling fatigued, when you've got a high level of adenosine present in the brain that's kind of
now interestingly
sleep pressure.
Interestingly for you, obviously I don't typically have caffeine.
No, you don't. But here's the thing, right? And I haven't told you this because you don't know this. I was gifted by one of my clients, Alex Harpin. Shout out to Alex, what a legend. When we were prepping for the DW, she's given me some, it's almost like a small tin that is caffeinated, highly caffeinated chocolate. So I'll just dose you up on that. I'll just go, bit of this.
Well, my point to that was expect me to go off the rails, off the charts. Like last time I had caffeine was in a pre-workout, and it made me. To be fair, it was a pre-workout, so there was other stuff in it as well. But
Were you buzzing?
I was buzzing for about 7 minutes, and then I was throwing up after that.
You're normally sick after exercise anyway, aren't you?
Depending on how intense it is. Shouldn't be with this, but that was just the pre-workout. It was just, see, when people like talk about the buzz of caffeine, I get that just from sugar. Traditionally, pineapple juice is what I like to say. That's like, it's like my alcohol. That's
your secret weapon, isn't it?
Yeah, fueled by pineapple juice.
So just to clarify nutrition, I think, what do you think to this? But I think I'll probably just stick with the normal meal structure, eat the same kind of meals that I normally would, with the additional snacking and refueling of gels, additional carbohydrates, probably gummy bears, jelly beans, that kind of thing, because they're really good, and some additional protein shakes.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. That's what I'll be doing.
Good. So I'm glad we've clarified the nutrition. And then at the end of it, we'll probably have a massive bowl of ice cream and stuff like that. So we'll have a good one.
That's exciting.
Get your Gaines bottle going.
An Istanbul grill.
It's closed.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just letting you know that is the sort of thing that would go down a treat right there.
So at what point do you think it's actually going to get hard? What point do you think you're going to feel at your worst during this challenge?
At what point am I going to feel? Probably just before halfway. I'm thinking like I was having a conversation with myself while I was running a few weeks ago because that's
frequently do that, do you?
Yeah, I do. And anyone who tells you otherwise is probably a psychopath. But yeah, so anyway, I was thinking, like, it doesn't matter if it's 100 meters or 10 miles. For me, like, you'll be having words with yourself at some point where it's like, okay, this is it. This is starting to get tiring, or it's starting to get hard now. And I think it doesn't matter the distance. Like, probably just before halfway will be psychologically the worst. And then from there, it's counting down, isn't it? It's like you're closer to the end than you were at the beginning. So I reckon that entire last day is probably going to be pretty minging up until the last mile of the last run.
Yeah, I'm just writing down now, just tracking the mileage with the times. So I've just drawn around a block, which is Saturday, sort of 8 p.m. or maybe even 4 p.m. So Saturday afternoon, 4 p.m., 8 p.m., midnight, and then 4 a.m. on the Sunday. That is miles 24, 28, 32, and 36 of the run. And that's kind of, I see that as like, that's the hill. I think once you made it through that point, you're pretty much heading downhill, aren't you? And like you say, the finish line's in sight. It's just it's a formality at that point, pretty much. That's when I would expect to be at the worst and struggling.
Well, I mean, I remember running, I can't remember if it was a 12 mile or a 14 mile with Chris Warren. And I was making jokes about hitting the runner's wall, the so-called runner's wall. I say I was making jokes. I was like, I've never hit that wall. Like, because I literally, so the joke was, I said that I'd never hit that wall because I just feel like that every time I run. Like, genuinely, I feel like I said, it doesn't matter what the distance is, it'll start to hurt. Your body don't want to do it anymore. That's how I feel anyway. So, yeah, I think that was like, I think it was a 14 miler and 12 miles in. So that was after halfway. It was just, we had to increase the pace. Otherwise we never would have finished it. But that was because of it was the physical pain being caused by the psychological challenge, I guess. And we just had to, I think we averaged like a 7-minute mile pace for the last 2 miles because if we didn't, we weren't going to make it. So yeah, I agree. I think those miles that you just listed off there, they will be psychologically and physically quite hard, I think, for me. But that's all part of the fun. I'm looking forward to that. And we've anticipated it now. So when those miles come, that's when I'm going to be the most vocal.
What, running around the streets of Manchester at
Yeah, actually, that's total opposite.
4 a.m. on a Sunday.
Normally, when I get to that stage, I'll just switch off. It'll be head down and go to work. So you won't hear me at all during that run. It'll be after the run. I will complain to you about my ankles.
I think we both had this experience when we were kayaking, weren't we? Like, obviously, we spent quite a bit of time in the boat together, and there were a couple of times.
Were you there? I didn't notice you were even there.
What do you mean? Just like, I was just sat in the back, not doing anything.
Sometimes, yeah. I didn't think you weren't doing anything because I felt it every now and then. It's like, holy, someone's going away there.
So, I mean, there were times where we'd normally set off, we'd be having a good bit of chit chat, just kind of cruising through. Everything was easy. And then, so like a good chunk into the session, the talk would just stop and it would just be silence and we'd just be clicking away at it. That's what I would imagine it'd be like. So, I mean, me and you were both comfortable with not much talking going on, which might be hard to believe for some people listening to this.
Well, I think it's like, so the book that you that you bought me, that I was reading when I was at yours last, Relentless, Tim Grover, absolutely incredible. One of the things that he talks about is like when you're in the zone, that's it, you're in the zone. You don't notice the lights, you don't notice the cars driving past, you don't notice the spectators, you don't notice anyone else. You're literally you focusing on what you need to do, and that's that. And I do think wholeheartedly that is the place that we go to when we're doing stuff like that, which is why we kind of enjoy this stuff, because it's taking you to that place where you then have to head down, focus. And we did do that quite a lot during the kayaking. In fact, I think like 90% of the kayaking was spent that way.
It was.
So,
it was.
And I haven't got a problem with that at all.
We had a good bit of cold water immersion in that experience as well, didn't we?
Yes, we did, unfortunately so.
So I think, that kind of covers our preparation for it, our anticipation of where we're going to feel the worst. And I think it is important to do that. It is important to acknowledge when it is going to be hard and when it is going to suck, like, especially at 4 a.m. on a Sunday morning when you have to, probably at 3:30 when you have to get up and get ready, get your shoes on, get your running kit on, get ready to go. That's where you've got to mentally brace yourself for, like, this has to happen. We've got to get on with this. And if you were expecting it, if you're expecting to feel horrendous and you focus on just doing the next thing, getting your shoes on, heading out the door, you'll find it easier to deal with. You won't find it easy, but you'll find it easier to deal with than someone that hasn't anticipated it was going to be hard or difficult or challenging at any point. So we've covered the pain point aspect, the nutrition side of things. We've gone through that. Showering, I think important to stay clean, stay fresh, see that as a reward as well. I think use that as a milestone. Just make it to the next shower. Come up with some sort of, again, going back to lessons learned through performance and sport. The episode with John Kenyon, if anyone did listen to that, and he's essentially got things written on his tape on his wrists that are triggers to remind him, focus on the ball, next play, put the ball down, go again, focus on the next shower, make it to the next shower, make it to the next meal. Do those things, you're done.
You've just made me think there, like, genuinely, this is a thought that I might actually capitalize on. We could do this. See, like a little psychological mini win to do for that would be to get like an array or an assortment of like the best or the nicest smelling shower gels, and each time you shower, like it's a silly thing and it's a little thing, but you know what, that would be a nice little dopamine reward each time you finish your run. You're like, ooh, coconut. I don't know where that came from, but yeah,
it's still a good point though. Set yourself up with some mini wins.
Yeah,
definitely set yourself up with some mini wins. Vaseline, lubing up, greasing yourself up, make sure you don't start chafing. I think if you do chafe from an early phase or at any point, you're going to find each subsequent run harder to do. So, grease yourself up from run number one and make sure you've got plenty of it.
Yeah, I think that's a case of mitigate the number of things that could irritate you whilst you are going about your way.
Do you know what? That's I love that. Minimize the things that can go wrong.
Yeah. Because things will go wrong. Like, you're going to be in pain at some point. It's exactly like your last point. You're going to be in pain at some point. You might as well minimize the number of things that you are in pain of.
So Vaseline, blister plasters, I think you need to have those boxed off. because you never know what might happen there. If you get a couple of blisters, a couple of bad ones, you want to make sure you're protected as much as you can. Again, minimizing what can go wrong. Set yourself up for some mini wins. You just talked there about your fancy shower gels. I'm looking forward to you bringing those along. Feel free to leave a few behind. Yeah, put things in place that you've got to look forward to after each subsequent run. And I think, again, this just comes down to have a plan, have a good strategy of how you're going to go about things, set your timings up beforehand. You know, if you're going to do your rolling and your recovery work immediately after each run and hydrate after each run, that's crucial for the next one. Don't wait. Don't come in, put your stuff down and fall asleep straight away. Get the recovery done first, then go to sleep and get your 90-minute nap or whatever it is you're going to do. And pacing strategy, we've covered that as well. So anything else that you would add, Chris? Any other thoughts?
No, other than I think one thing that I kind of live by, let's say, for this sort of thing is just do your best to go into it as relaxed as possible. Like you don't want to go into any of it stressed or, like you said at the start, overthinking any of it. Just find what will relax you, do whatever. Maybe we can watch a bit of Chicago Fire beforehand. Yep. Just relax, chill out, and then for 1 hour every 4 hours, head down and move one leg in front of the other.
That's it, and ultimately enjoy it. It's going to be an experience. I think anything that you do as an endurance event, it is an experience, and I think that's what hooks people in. Actually, I think that's what hooks people in. It's one hell of a journey. So we're looking forward to it. We're excited for it. As we record this now, we are 23rd of Feb, so we're 12 days away. 12 days away from doing it. Once this gets released, I think it'll be 10 days. So we haven't really given ourselves a lot of time in terms of the fundraising, but for personal reasons, that was something that we wanted to keep on the down low for, out of respect for family and various other things. So we didn't want to go and publicize a load of stuff on that. But if you do feel like you would like to donate and contribute to the cause and check in with how me and Chris are suffering and making it through, make sure you check out our social media pages. There will be a link for donations at the bottom of this one. Make sure you get the right one. I think there is a PayPal one that you can donate to support this show. Make sure you don't go on that one. Go on the Just Giving page link for the Pulmonary Fibrosis Trust. That will be the page that is going to be taking the money to charity. So the money will go 100% straight to them. If you're able to give anything, we 100% love you for it. Even if you can't, please feel free to share it and let as many people know kind of what we're up to, because we're terrible at letting people know what we're up to. We're terrible at saying stuff and shouting about it. So yeah, if you can go and do a lot of advertising and publicity for us, guys, we'd love you for that.
Yeah, and I think I was actually looking the other day at Goggins' actual website, and he was saying about what he does when he's doing it. So he'll actually go live at the start of every 4 hours just to interact with people. That's something that I think we'll incorporate as well. So even if you aren't donating, come along and watch. You will be able to see us deteriorate over the 2 days. So I hope we'll do a couple of lives, so you'll be able to see what's going on and how we're feeling.
We will indeed. So yeah, join us for the journey and drop us a message. Let us know if you're supporting us with it. If you want to see us suffer equally, let us know.
And I know that those people are out there. There are definitely people that I know of that want to see us suffer. So
I can't wait. So anyway, that is, hopefully you've enjoyed this show. Hopefully it's been enlightening at the very least and interesting. If you do want to join us for any of the running, any legs of it, if you want to do it with a team yourself and you want to find out more about it and know how, then drop us a message. Drop us a message, and more the merrier. We will happily talk you through it, help you through it if you do want to do this as well. So that is it from me and Chris. So until next time, Chris, you can do the honors.
Lenko out.